Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Push me and then just touch me till I can get my satisfaction.
Life Hacks for Women, Part 1. Does your boyfriend or husband claim to love you? Well, what if you were a worm? If he says no, get upset and tell him he doesn't really love you. If he says yes, get upset and say, well, maybe you should dump me for a worm then. While he's confused and trying to backpedal, steal his wallet.
Yo, imagine it's 1990, whatever, you an X-Men, right? You superhero, right? You down with Charles Xavier, y'all doing y'all thing, y'all got the danger room, everything is great, right? And then Charles Xavier introduced some new dude. And he is just rude for no fucking reason. He in the bed with the photo of you and your girl. He touching your girl's face. Then he get mad because he can't have it. He gonna cut the photo. He chopped the call for no reason. What is wrong with this man? Why do we like him? But peep this.
You know nothing, little man.
Sir, you are 5'3". Who are you calling little? Sir, you're gonna have to get a hotel room because you can't stay here. No.
Hey man, can I ask you a question?
Sorry, I don't have any money.
Do you rent or do you own?
What?
Where you live, do you rent or do you own it?
I rent. Why? What are you?
Well, maybe you should help me out because I'm all that's keeping your property value in check. Like, things are good now, right? But if I go, it's gonna get much better. It's either me or a Whole Foods. And you don't look like you're making artisanal bread money.
You know something? You're right. People like me, we need people like you. Here's $10. Go get yourself some spray cans.
Thanks, man. With the rest of this money, man, I'll get drunk enough to take a shit on your stoop.
My man.
Yeah.
I always tell my guy friends that they need more pineapple in their diet for like health reasons. He's a squirter. It's coconut flavoring, and personally, I just love nuts in my mouth. I like to fill it right to the top of the 1.5 ounce because I'm used to taking a big load. I'm a big fan of cherries. In fact, I had my cherry blasted last night.
We clogged my boyfriend's toilet, so I took the poop out and put it in his cat litter box. Then he asked if I pooped in it, and I said no, but he said his cat has been dead for a week. Please pick me up.
I used to call things gay all the time. I'm sorry. I went to high school in the early 2000s, and that's just what we said. You know, if you didn't like something, you called it gay. That's like, okay, I remember this one time I said, man, this is so gay. And then everyone around me understood that I was upset about 9/11. It was pretty gay, okay? Pretty gay that they did that to us.
Would you rather kiss me or kiss the prettiest girl in the world for $1 million?
$1 million to kiss the prettiest girl in the world?
Yes.
Do I get $1 million if I kiss you?
No, you only get $1 million if you kiss the prettiest girl in the world.
Well, obviously I'd pick the prettiest girl in the world and get $1 million. We'd be rich.
Yes, we would. But did you think to say, I'm the prettiest girl in the world?
But you're not. You're not. And that's okay. You're a solid 6. A high 6. And you're being selfish right now because we'd be $1 million richer.
Well, I don't even think you're a 6.
No. I don't care what you think I am. I pulled you. $1 million. You'd have to take one for the team.
If you would have just said, babe, you're the prettiest girl in the world, you could have kissed me and gotten $1 million. That's the loophole.
But you're not.
Let me ask you something. When you come in on Monday and you're not feeling real well, does anyone ever say to you, sounds like someone has a case of the Mondays?
No. No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
Martini Studios in Ontario, California, it's the Foo Show!
Hey, what is up, everyone? I am Joe C.
And I'm Steph.
Thank you all so very much for listening into the Foo Bar Show, and a special thanks to you, Foos, who subscribe, rate, review, and share the pod with your fellow Foos. Remember to follow, like, and comment on our Instagram and TikTok at Foo Bar Show. That's FOO Bar Show. And listen at FOOBarshow.com, and we'll foo it up like a couple of foos. Ain't that right, Steph?
That's right.
Steph, today's going to be a good one. You want to know why?
Why?
Because we got Kelli Tager on the show, man.
Woo!
She is doing the audiobook for Doug Brode, who we had a couple weeks on ago, to talk about his book, Shelli. She's doing the audiobook for that. And so, you know, a little
Shelli.
cross promotion with Doug and Kelli and Foo Bar Showness. And yeah, man, it's going to be fun. I'm excited to speak with her because for the longest time, I've been really intrigued about the idea of doing like VO work, voiceover for those who don't know. And yeah, man, you know, she's done it all, I think, or all kinds. Yep. You know, like animation. I think she might have done some commercials. Obviously, she's doing audiobooks. So got tons of questions to ask her. I'm sure you do too, Steph.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to happen shortly. But yeah, what's up, Steph? How you doing?
Oh, you know, just enjoying this new room.
We painted the room, yes. It's been painted for about a week now. And you know what? I don't like it. Put it back.
What?
Just kidding. It's a nice blue and white.
Imagine, like, I was like super scared that we would put like the first coat of paint on or like the first stroke with
Yeah.
the paintbrush.
Right.
And it's like, oh no, what have we done?
What have we done?
But it's very calming. It's like a nice calming blue.
It's a blue. It's
You know?
it's the
Nobody
color
can
of our
see
front
it.
door.
Nobody can
No,
see it but
'cause-
us. But it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, Steph, you know, I sound a little hoarse right now because I've been playing some shows. The band, we had a single release on Friday for our new song, our debut single called Nothing to Lose. So for those who are looking for something new to listen to, please, Shoelace Express, search us on your favorite music app and play Nothing to Lose, man. That's the debut single. It's a song that I wrote around 15 years ago. And finally, it's come to fruition where it's actually released. And I think I'm pretty proud of it. The guys that I'm playing with right now, they're stoked. They're excited that, you know, we finally have a song out with this new band, and we played the Fender Band Jam on Friday, which you went to. We played a 30-minute set, and then last night we had our single release party over in Fountain Valley, and that was a 4-hour show. So it was awesome. It was great.
It was fun. Yeah,
yeah,
it was a fun
tons
time.
of fun. And so yeah, man. I don't know if it's is that. Do you want me to play it? Is that something I should do?
Are we doing that?
Is that like something that I can do, you think?
I think so.
On this show?
Well, hold on, we need to get permission from at least one member from the band.
Done. goddamn right.
That's a tight song.
Thank you. No, that's I'm pretty proud of that one. Can you believe it? I wrote it 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah, and finally, like, and people have asked me, it's like, what took you so long? Well, I wasn't in a band who wanted to play it, throughout all these years. For different reasons, because maybe we focused on a different type of genre, maybe because I didn't think it was done. I mean, the lyrics have changed a little bit since then, but yeah, man.
I feel like every musician has that one song that just takes them years and years.
That's
like
true.
they just tinker it. It becomes like a session, like a project.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're going to continue to mess with this.
No, it's done. It's released. That's it.
I mean, yes, now, but I mean, maybe later on.
For live purposes, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe. That reminds me of like Eddie Vedder said that he wrote Better Man when he was in high school, and he released it. What was that? Their third album, Vitology. So yeah, I mean that must have been an equal amount of time between. Maybe not 15 years, but still. But yeah, dude. Speaking of Pearl Jam, we saw him last week. That was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him over at the Kia Forum. It's always. I think it's my 6th time seeing Pearl Jam.
I think so. I think we're just missing the one poster.
Yeah.
We have 5 posters.
I think we have 5 Pearl Jam posters, and for those who don't know, and a lot of bands are doing this, where they'll create posters and print posters specifically for that night. With the date on it and everything, and I make it a point to get in line to buy one whenever I go see Pearl Jam. Got one for Temple of the Dog too, R.I.P. Chris Cornell. Got one for System of a Down, I believe too. So more and more bands are doing that kind of thing. It's kind of like an exclusive thing for the date that you're going to go see them. Yeah, man. So that song is out. We're super proud. Steph, you helped us film the music video.
I did.
Which happened here in our living room. I bought some backdrops and some lights that we're using now for the video portion of the podcast. But I think it came out all right considering we filmed it on 4K iPhone.
Yeah. You know what? That's pretty good quality for an iPhone.
Yeah. It's not bad, man. If you know what you're doing with lighting, if you know more or less your way around an editing program, you can make it happen. And, we did the best we could on the budget that we had, and here we go. And it's out. You go check it out, man. It's on YouTube. It's out on Apple Music. I'm sure it's on Spotify and Amazon Music as well, like the video for it. So,
we got to get the guys in here. Do a Shoelace Express.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Special edition.
Have an episode with them. That'd be sick. Maybe later in the month or something like that. We'll get everybody together on and record something. But man, that's what's been going on here. And today we are welcoming Kelli Tager, a gifted voiceover actress with a background in theater and passion for storytelling. She found her true love behind the mic. She's currently narrating the audiobook for Doug Brode's new sci-fi novel, Shelli. Please join me in welcoming Kelli on the Foo Show. Kelli, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's fun to be here. Of course.
Thanks for coming down. You've been hyped up by Doug most recently when he was on here a couple weeks ago.
No pressure whatsoever.
No pressure at all. No, but this is awesome because we've never had anybody in your line of work on the show before, and that is something that personally fascinates me. That's something that I'm trying to maybe want to explore in the near future. So,
well, you've got the mic for it, so
yeah, I sure do.
There you go.
I think I'm halfway there. It's just a matter of putting together the stuff to do it. Yeah. So tell us about yourself, Kelli. What you've been up to?
I am a full-time voice actor. I have been for about 7 years, around like that. Before I did theater and film and TV, and I love theater. I did a little tiny bit of film and TV. You will not have seen me in anything unless you saw me peddling a few products in Legally Blonde too. I tripped my kids out. So I'm like, "Do you recognize her?" They're like, "What the?" That was a good day. But apart from that, it never really felt like my happy place. Like I was almost happier doing like crew stand-in work on film and TV. Then I didn't like being cast on my looks. I wanted the freedom to dye my hair and cut it when I wanted, and it just felt weird. So when I discovered voice acting, I was like, "Oh my God, I get to play all the parts. This is amazing."
In sweats, right?
In sweats, no heels, no heels. There's never any heels or makeup
unless you're weird.
I want it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not masochistic. Christ. I mean, we do award things and like conference things, and then, we'll make an effort for maybe 24 hours if you're lucky, but that's about it. So yeah, no, it's been wonderful. And I got to say the voiceover community, and specifically along with the regular voice acting for like commercials and, promo and animation, they are amazing humans. And the audiobook community particularly I have found my tribes so hard in these, because they're the most grounded, kindest, down-to-earth actors that you will ever meet, because no one's doing it for the fame or the glory, or there's like a little bit of ego, but nothing compared to other acting venues. So
yeah, that's funny you say that. It's not the first time I hear that. A couple of years ago, we did this. We sat in on a seminar over at the LA Comic-Con about voiceover acting, and so they categorized every single one, like animation and audio book work, and they said that was probably the lengthiest one because you're reading a book, but it's like a different breed of cat.
It's my mentor calls it, one of my mentors called it the marathon of voice acting, because I mean, you have to be slightly insane to sit in a very small room by yourself and talk to yourself for hours in different voices. But we get paid for it, and that's the only reason we're not being locked up for it. So,
a lot of industries could say the same thing.
Very true. But
we won't get into those.
Yeah, but I first discovered voice acting. A friend of mine from college, Stephanie Shea, who does a lot of anime now. She's big on anime. It was like one of the first things that she was working on, and she recruited me to audition for an anime series, and I got to play. Along with a recurring teacher character. There was one episode I got to play a baby rice cooker monster. And my thing is, once you've played a baby rice cooker monster, you don't go back.
That is some Mad Libs happening in that writer's room for that name to come about.
I mean, it was an awesome series, but yeah, I mean, just like a lot of anime, I feel like they might have taken quite a few drugs before writing it, but in the best way. I mean, and there was some beautiful emotional stuff in there, but there was also some wackadoodle stuff, and sometimes in the same scene, so it's cool.
Right on.
How hard is it to switch between emotions when you're narrating different characters?
If it's in a very emotional scene, sometimes it can be a little tricky. Sometimes I've had to go back if I'm so connected with one character, especially the one whose point of view the story is being told from at that point. Sometimes that emotion kind of can bleed over a little bit to the other character. I'm thinking specifically about this one historical fiction book I did that it was, and he was dying. The character was dying on like D-Day on the beach. And he sees his dead daughter, her spirit, saying, "Come to me, Papa, come to me." And I made her just way too sad for the whole, I needed to make her more enlightened. When I listened back, I was like, oh, I'm way too much in the, oh my God, I'm seeing my dead kid, and blah, blah. So I realized I had to redo it and be a little bit more, it's okay, heaven's great, you should come along for the ride. So, because I was making her a little too sad about it. So yeah, it can definitely be a trap that you have to be aware of, because especially when it's an emotional scene and you're playing both sides, it can get tricky. You can't, your emotions aren't always a valve that you can switch from hot to cold all the time. So yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, and so I don't remember if it was while we pressed record or before, but you said that this was the first sci-fi novel that you're doing.
The first big one I've done. I did one really cool collection of short stories. It was like a very Black Mirror one by Joanna Baggett, called "I'd Really Prefer Not to Be Here with You Right Now." And but that was my first like toe dip into it. So I did one of the short stories. It was a multicast, but this is the first one I get to do all by myself.
Yeah. And one thing that Doug shared with us was that you're getting into like the voices of the characters within the story being told.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
You know, and so the person that I think of that does that really well, I'm sure you've heard the name of Phil Hendry. Have you?
I don't think
he's like a radio personality, and he does these like
if you're
funny
going to say
bits.
audiobook narrator, I was going to feel really bad. Okay.
If you look at Phil Hendry, he does these bits where he's on the radio and he's like calling a person, but he's the other person on the line, and he's doing both characters at the same time.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's what we do. So
Yeah. So how does that process go? I mean, it's very similar to Steph's, with emotion kind of question, but like playing a different tone of voice, I suppose, would be the question that I'm asking. Like, you have an acting background, so tell us about that process.
I mean, for me, it's like a big movie in my head, and like in shows like in books like this, I mean, you really got to picture the characters first, and you figure out kind of where the general placement is for that character, who like your role models are for that character. Like I see them in different ways. It's very interesting. So, and I keep a little voice snippet on file. So, but you wind up, even though it's just voice acting, you're still being very physical in the booth. Like with Shelli, I always kept my head up because I felt she was kind of, her mentality is like the equivalent of a human elitist. Like, yes, but this is, and so I always found her the best by just keeping my head up a little bit. And different other characters, I'd hunch over a little bit more, other characters and that kind of always just gets you into, so, you're moving around, just hopefully not that the mic's picking up. But it's all playing out in your head, as you know.
Is that one of the strategies that you use when you pitch yourself to voiceover work that you're getting to?
I mean, I wouldn't say. I think if you've been a trained narrator and I mean, you do it in animation too. You do it in any genre, or even if you're just being yourself in a commercial. If you're trying to like kind of find your way into your most authentic self to sell something, those are all ways to just. There's different physicalities you can do to ground yourself, and I think most voice actors know that. I don't know how many people would appreciate that as a pitch to yourself. I think, but they can hear it in your voice when you do it. So in that way, it's a pitch, I guess.
When it comes to doing voice acting or like applying for a role, do you often see yourself like reading the book first and approaching the author, or do the authors mainly come to you?
It depends. I actually don't do a lot of indie work anymore. Doug's one of the few indie projects I'm doing, like independent authors. I usually work with production houses and publishers. So I'm on their roster. They know who, like I've given them over various auditions and samples and emails and FaceTime and whatnot. They know who I am as a person and as a narrator and what my passions are, what makes me tick. So, and there are some producers, I swear to God, can read my soul, and they'll send me an audition. I'm like, were you looking in my window? Are you kidding me right now? So, so they get a sense of who you are, and they'll be like, oh, I can hear your voice. I think you would be an interesting person for this book. So usually they send audition, and it's gotten much more, because audiobooks have blown up so much, it's gotten much more common to audition for books. I think 5 years ago, they would basically just hand you a book and be like, here, you read this. But now authors have more say, more control. It's become more common because audiobooks are bigger, that they get to pick who their voice is. And sometimes they want different narrators for different series, or other times they'll want to keep with the same person the whole time. So, but if I do read an author's work, especially with romance, because I'm a little more picky with romance, and I go, ooh, I love their writing, and I will reach out and be like, can I be your narrator? This is great. I love you. So I'll be a narrator. Yeah.
In reading your bio, I understand you're really into classic Hollywood.
Yeah.
What's your favorite stuff?
Oh God. A lot of the 40s, like 1944, 1948. Those are my favorite film years, usually. I loved all this. The women there in 1940s Hollywood are so strong because World War II is going on. They needed the women. They didn't want to put them in their place anymore. They wanted them to rise up, especially in the 30s too. I mean, before they had all the codes for all the moral codes that came in Hollywood. But I mean, I love the snappy banter dialogue, all, with Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell and Judy Garland, I think is one of my heroes. I have Wizard of Oz.
There you go.
Mouse pad, Wizard of Oz, coaster. So many things in here that are very vintage. I have a picture of her up there. Yeah, so I get a lot. I feel like I got a lot of my comic timing from classic Hollywood as well, because I thought they just knew, and a lot of the personalities there were so distinct that they're really fun to draw from for characters as well.
Yeah, and you probably know more about this than any of us here, but in hearing and watching documentaries and hearing kind of like articles about that kind of classic Hollywood, they grew up with more like a vaudevillian, is that right? Like background, whereas nowadays that's obviously not the case. So that shines through their theater, their, I guess, transatlantic type of speech patterns that they have.
Darling, yes.
Right. And you hardly hear that unless it's parody now.
It's a made-up accent. That's because no one ever talked like that. So,
yeah.
I mean, that was how they sounded more posh. So,
right.
Yeah.
So, how many? I guess do you do that in your? Do you use that in your voiceover, like that?
A little bit sometimes, especially if I'm doing when I'm auditioning, if I'm doing a book or a character that's based on that time period. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's rather fun. So. I'll do it all day if you want me to.
What has been the
podcast like that? Okay.
What's been the biggest challenge you faced when transitioning to on stage, to on screen, and then now to voice acting? Has it been a difficult transition throughout your life?
It wasn't the biggest thing I had to learn when I got behind the mic was I don't have to try as much. I don't have to push as hard because you don't have to do it to the little old lady in the back seat. You're not playing to her anymore. You're playing to your friend who's right where the microphone is, and you're going to be in their earbuds. So like if it says that they're screaming in a book, you don't need to scream unless you want to really piss your listener off. And your engineer for that matter. Like that kind of stuff. Like you don't have to do as much because it's like a close-up. It's like a close-up shot on your voice. I mean, every little inflection that you do is going to be, it's going to be picked up.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're connected and truthful, then you're okay. Then you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you receive a lot of notes before you go into the recording booth for your roles?
It depends.
From the author? Okay.
It depends. Yeah. Depends on the book, how hands-on the author is. More so for indie projects because I'm working directly with them. Usually, sometimes I'll do an audition every once in a while for a publisher and they'll come back with notes or they'll want to see another scene. But usually it's just a 5-minute audition and that they pick to get a good sense of what you would do with their book.
Yeah.
And I do think it is an amazing amount of faith to put 5 minutes into an audition and trust you with their 15-hour audiobook. I mean, it's God bless them for trusting us with them. but at the same time, like you can tell within 30 seconds if someone kind of has it or not.
Mm-hmm. How far are you along with recording the audiobook for Shelli?
I'm done with the first with basically I'm done recording essentially with the full recording. Now I'm just waiting for what they're called pickups, which is basically any time that I fuck up, I need to redo it. So they pull. I'm allowed to swear, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Okay.
You're not swearing enough, if you ask me.
Okay, good. I swear, no, not yet. I have a bad potty mouth. But yeah, what they'll do is there's someone who proofs the book for me. So they'll go through and this happens with any time you do an audiobook. This is the whole process. So you'll do, once you finish recording the whole raw audiobook, you get the raw files, and then the proofer gets them, and they listen while going through the book, following along. And anytime you mess up, they'll mark it, and then the engineer will pull that little sound bite, and you recreate it later on. So you can get anywhere from 0 to 500 pickups. That's what they're called.
Wow.
So,
So that's a whole nother day or week in the studio then, right?
Hopefully a day. Hopefully no more than an hour is the dream. I've had some, everyone's got their horror stories. There's been times, when you say the main character's name wrong, like we've had, we've all had those. The classic thing is not with pickups, but you get, if you don't read the book first, and yes, you do absolutely read the book first, is when you get to page 200 and someone comments on the main character's Southern accent.
Oh, jeez.
That's why you read the book first.
And you've made him Irish or something.
Yeah.
Right?
And you've done some crazy thing with them. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's got to suck.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. And we've all done some version of that, and it's and you have to record. So
Yeah. Do you prepare your voice in any way? I mean, you're reading a book out loud, so like, what do you do to prep your voice?
Well, I always warm it up. I do like a vocal warm up, like singers would do, and then I do tongue twisters, so I can actually speak English. And then, but I still wind up slurring. I'm not the most articulate narrator, which is good that I don't over-articulate and you don't feel like I am reading when I read. But sometimes I get a little California mouth. It was when I do it instead. So I kind of, when my engineer, who I'll sometimes work with in my booth when I'm really busy, she'll work with me as I'm doing it to help take kind of the director and the engineering hat off my plate so I can just really focus on the acting. And so she'll stop me every once in a while and be like, "You sound drunk. Go again." So I'm like, it's because I'm drinking my vodka.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stay hydrated somehow.
Right? Exactly.
Some freshly squeezed potatoes.
But I get my vegetables in. And then at the end of the recording day, I found the most important thing, apart from warming up, is cooling down, which is kind of a big thing. And not everybody knows to do that part. So if you've been recording all day, like if I'm doing like a 6-hour day, then I definitely do some vocal cool down. So it's like after you've run a marathon and you have to do stretches afterward or you're going to be sore. It's like your voice does the same thing. I only wish that narrating burned as many calories as the marathon, but it doesn't. So.
That's interesting you say that. That's something I need to begin to adopt. I mean, I sound a little hoarse right now because I sang for 4 hours last night and I didn't do that cool down. So.
Yeah. And throat coat tea is the other thing. Throat coat tea is, I hate the taste, but damn, it works. So
yeah,
tastes like licorice, which is, you either love it or you don't.
Yeah.
So.
Well, cool. Yeah, go ahead, Steph.
Are you ever invited to like, was it book tours or anything like that with your?
Yeah, I just did one.
Oh,
I just did one. Yeah, we wound up really nicely because sometimes we go to book conventions. Like I just went to one in Chicago a couple weekends ago called Wild and Windy that was specifically for romance because a couple of my authors were there. And it turned out that on top of that, another author who I had worked with was happened to be in Chicago that week because she was doing a book tour for her book that I had narrated. So she wound up it was so awesome because she picked me up from the airport. We went out to dinner, and then we did the leg of her book tour in Woodstock, Illinois, where Groundhog Day was filmed. So I got to see where that was. So I nerded out
fun.
there. Yeah, it was cool. I'm like, I know where we are. This is amazing. So, and then I did the talk there and read a little bit from her book, and then I came back and I did the convention. So that was fun, and I got to be on a few panels about narrating audiobooks for romance audiobooks. So yeah,
Nice.
it was fun.
What advice would you give to somebody looking to break into the voiceover industry, like especially maybe those coming from a traditional acting background like
I
yourself?
was going to say, well, if you don't have acting background, get acting training, but still make sure to, voiceover is a huge, huge universe. There are many planets in that universe. So find out what planets you want to park on. Do a sampling of what you want to focus on, because there's a lot of voice actors that run screaming from audiobooks because it's just not in their wheelhouse. For me, it's harder to do video games because I don't play them as much. And I'm always a little scared about blowing my voice out. But then I'll get some video game auditions that are just awesome. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do, video games. But other ones are harder for me to do. So you just have to explore, figure out what is your jam. And that's what you want to focus on. Because otherwise you're going to be putting your money in a lot of different coaching hats and getting a lot of different demos. And audiobooks is very much its own planet from commercial acting or whatnot. So you have to, I would say if you have an acting background, great. Now learn how to focus that and transfer it to behind the mic.
Okay, cool. Well, this has been great, Kelli. We were excited all week to have you on, and I know that we're promoting Doug's book, but your part in it too with your audiobook. And so, what's next? What are you looking forward to in the next few months?
I'm looking forward to vacation. The most, honestly. I'm going to Disney World for the first time in thousands of years. I'm going in 2 weeks, and I'm so excited right now. It's just been with my kids. It's been a doozy of a school year. My husband and I got hazed this year, so we're very excited. I can't wait to go to Disney World. I'm so there. I've got one book to do, and I'm hoping to kind of take it a little easy this summer. But I have to say, I wanted to circle back for Shelli too, because one thing that I really loved about doing Doug's book was I've never gotten to do an AI voice, and I feel like I was freaking born to do AI, to play a robot at some point, and so it was so fun. I got to do different types of AI voices, and it was so fun finding a way into some of these synthetics. So I hope you guys really enjoy that, because I think some comedy wound up coming out of just the different synthetics personalities. So I think it helped because Doug's script is so funny, as well as having so many beautiful little powerful points. I think the voices are going to have a lot of fun enhancing that. So I'm hoping it will.
Nice. Did you channel any particular influences like Hal from Space Odyssey or anything like that?
Not Hal, but I actually, for Shelli, I kind of felt like I kind of made her essentially the female Frasier, is what I felt like.
Okay.
Kind of, I guess Lilith, because she has kind of an erudite attitude, and she has these pesky feelings that sometimes get in the way, and it makes her uncomfortable. So, I felt like that was the human equivalent of Shelli in some ways. It's like, nope, this is what I need to do. This is what I got to do. Oh, what's happening right now? So I think the parts that, from her point of view, when the narration actually got emotional, it had to have been very emotional for her, overwhelmingly emotional for the most part, because she's very, very much sits in her logical brain. So when things actually were surprising or emotional or touching, they I was very careful about when that would happen in the narration, when that would be reflected.
Well, cool.
I had a lot of fun playing with her.
When is it out? Do you know? Do you have an idea?
Not yet. No, because we still have to do pickups. So
yeah.
And we're working with a distribution company that I did my own production book with Blue Castle, which it was a public domain book I narrated by Ellen Montgomery, who did Anne of Green Gables. Stephen Cohen, his name has this wonderful distribution company called Spoken Realms, which is kind of, ACX is kind of the Amazon-based platform, but this one gives you global distribution if you want. And his company is just a joy to work with. So they're going to help us distribute it to all platforms. So that'll be nice. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait, because that's really how I do reading in the car.
You're not alone.
Listening to audiobooks,
you are not alone.
Yeah. And so I'm excited. Steph's already read the book, Shelli. I've become acquainted with much of it, but I can't wait for the audiobook, because Doug was telling us everything, how he found you, how the audition process was like, and it's great. So and then just speaking with you now, I'm even more excited.
Oh, thank you. No, I was so happy because I'm friends with his wife, and we worked together for years. We were coworkers teaching acting, and so when I signed up to audition, I'm like, I didn't know how good the book was going to be, because I was like, okay, it's my friend's husband, and I read it. I'm like, oh, thank God, this is great. This is actually a really good book, and it hits a lot of things that I've never gotten to do before, that I've always wanted to do. So it was just such a fun experience being able to do this book. I really was really grateful for the opportunity. So definitely.
Well, I know that our listeners are looking forward to not only reading the book if they haven't already, but listening to your audiobook. So, Kelli, we want to thank you for being on the show. This is great.
Oh, thank you. You guys ask great questions too, really.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
We try.
Yeah, thank you. Well done. Well done indeed. So, yeah.
Thank you. Well, keep in touch. Hopefully we can check out all your other work that you have coming out soon.
Sure. That'll be fun.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks guys for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, that was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Yeah, she was great. Hopefully we get to keep in touch with Kelli. She's dope as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you had a bulletin you wanted to just treat the listeners with, Steph. Some summer watching before we end the show here.
Summer watching, real quick, boys. Season 4 is coming out this month, June 13th. So just right around the corner.
Nice.
Also, there is a movie called The Watcher starring Dakota Fanning and directed by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, Ishana
Night Shyamalan.
Yes.
So he's producing it. She wrote and directed it, and it looks creepy. I mean, it's in the same kind of vibe as his other movies, kind of like that suspense thriller type of thing. The trailer is like just over 3 minutes long, and I mean, they're not going to tell you anything in the trailer, but they definitely give you the sense that it's a lot of.
It's definitely a survivalist type of story in the woods. Super dark, but I love those horror type movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's see how it is, man. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan did not release home runs every time, that's for sure. But the stuff that is memorable, like let's see, we got Signs. That was a big one.
Still scares me to this day. Like, I remember when it first came out, I had to close my eyes whenever the aliens came on screen because I was terrified.
Sixth Sense was a big one.
Yes, I like that one.
Yeah, and he had a couple stinkers, but we won't talk about those. But yeah, man, I'm pretty interested in this one. This one comes out on June 7th.
Yeah.
So it's
next week.
So I didn't even see this one coming. So what else we got? Inside Out coming out soon. I think there's
there's a couple. Oh, I think Deadpool is coming out.
That's coming out soon. Yeah.
Yeah. They have a nice special edition popcorn bucket.
Oh yeah. If you guys haven't checked out the popcorn bucket, just YouTube it real quick. It's exactly what you think it is. I'm sure they're taking a page out of the book that was, I guess, unintentionally written by Dune, the makers of the Dune popcorn bucket, which is rather erotic. This one is on purpose erotic. And I can't believe he did that to Wolverine is all I'm saying.
Like the trailer for the popcorn bucket has its own thing. Oh my God. It's like comedically sensual.
Sensual is what you picked.
Should I have not?
Sexual, I think. Was Well, yeah, both actually. Sensually sexual. How about
In
that?
a comedic way.
Sure. No, I don't know. I think some people are going to take this rather seriously. And
what, boycott the bucket?
No, take it seriously as in what they can do with the bucket.
Okay. Well, I need that bucket for research purposes.
Yeah. And what I think on this list we saw Joker, but that's not coming out till like October.
Yeah.
Folie à deux.
Yeah, we just have a couple things that we wanted to point out for June.
Yeah.
To get the summer started.
Yeah.
Because, everybody's going on vacation, starting to take a break. And, there's just a couple things for people to catch up on.
Yeah, sure, man. Sure. Well, is that going to do it, Steph, you think?
I think so.
All right. Well, that's Geeking Out. And that's the show, man. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. What do we got next week? We got Tanner Poppet.
Yes.
He made a new documentary that I checked out, and it's pretty good. Pretty good for like an indie documentary. It talks about one of the local metal bands here in the Southern California scene. And what they're up to now, kind of their story coming up in the music industry back in the 80s, 90s. Particularly, I like the part where they address it, but they're just like, metal wasn't what it was in the early 90s with the whole grunge scene coming out and like their struggles. And just being in a band, it's like this weird family that you have to, and the tension and dynamics that go into it. I was very, very entertained. So we're going to talk to him about that next week. They're actually going to be in studio.
Oh,
next
very
week.
nice.
So
first in studio guest in a while.
Yeah, man. Actually, no. Last week we had Josh. Does he count?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's fair.
Josh is part of the show.
I guess. All right. Well, thank you all so very much for listening into the Foo Bar Show. And a special thanks to you Foos who subscribe, rate, review, and share the pod with your fellow Foos. Remember to follow, like, and comment on our Instagram and TikTok at Foo Bar Show. That's FOO Bar Show. And listen at FOOBarshow.com. And we'll fill it up like a couple of Foos. I've been Josie.
And I'm Steph.
Signing off saying, don't be a dick.
Fuck, man. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
I'm sorry to bother you, Doctor.
That's all right. Now who is it?
Doctor, there's a young woman in emergency. I can't find Dr. Lucas, who's supposed to be on duty.
All right,
And-
all right. What's the problem?
She seems to have a foreign object lodged in her vagina.
Let's go.
Come on, let's get this shit over with.
Where's the foreign object?
去都整马不特当我乐贼我啊！